Customers are going to play games with you. You can't get mad. Sometimes you play along. Coming off the holidays, I actually got home over New Year's and all that. Took a couple extra days off and got to play with the drone. Got it up pretty high. Had some good daytime shots. I need to get the gimbal fixed, but yeah, all right. And got a couple of night shots here. Not too bad, but just a couple hours later, this happened, and so I got it up for that. But hey, drone does pretty good. Hope to do some more with that later. I actually was thinking about bringing the drone out to doing some truck stop review videos with it. I thought it would be pretty cool to take it up and shine it and, you know, whatnot over some of these truck stops. But that, I need a cheaper drone than that one. Something I'm not afraid to crash or lose. So we get hustled out here quite a bit by a lot of shippers and receivers. It's a game. But you can play that game to your advantage. I'll tell you, there was a shipper and receiver that I had to deal with the other day. I hate this company. They're a company out of Northwest Arkansas that deals a lot in chicken and other assorted meats. Anyhow, the load was supposed to be loaded. There was a deadline on that, but it was hinky and weather's turning bad and all that. I get up there to Kansas City to go get it, and they're like, we just put the trailer in the door, it'll be 2 hours. I said, all right, come back at this time. All right, so I go back at that time. And then the lady tells me to, well, there's still only this and that, come back at this time. She gave me a specific time this time. Now remember that. So they gave me a specific time, and that's when I knew there was a problem. So I go up there about 10 to 12 minutes early. Before that time. In fact, I go there about 25 minutes before that time. And I got her. They were trying to blow me off till shift change. She didn't want to deal with it. She was going to blow me off till shift change. And this is something that I deal with a lot. Now, mind you, once I got my bills, been loaded for 2.5 hours. And she had my phone number. And she said they were a call, which they did not. Which I imagine if I would have gone into the trash can, my number would have been there. So, how did I play this? Well, it was interesting. I knew that this was not going to end well if I went any other way. And then I saw her boss standing there. So I said, you told me to come back at this time. I said, oh, what? So you're blowing me off till shift change so you can just piss off and go home? I said, you did tell me that. And I literally just laid out the whole conversation in front of her boss and told her exactly where the bear sat in the buckwheat. And I said, you're blowing me off till shift change because you don't want to deal with me. Come to find out, my load had been loaded for 2 hours. But the shag drivers waited till the last minute to pull all of the trailers out of the door. It was an absolute calamity. And this is why I hate this company, because this is like this across the board. Just a bunch of lazy do-nothings, and they're just riding it out. And I hate that. But when I saw the opportunity, I literally jumped on board and just busted her in front of her boss. You could tell she was mad. You could tell she was upset. You could tell she was busted, and her boss knew it too. So how did I know? Well, there's one thing that will always give it away. Now, despite the fact that I've been doing this for a very long time, you start learning when certain things happen. shift change, for instance. You get an idea when shift change is. And when they start giving you arbitrary times and telling you to check in later and this and that and the other thing, you kind of get a feel for it. But when they give you a very specific time, that's when they're blowing you off. In fact, that happened in at an Excel warehouse in Fort Morgan, Colorado, at that meat packer, and I had a guard get fired over it. The guard had apparently lied to too many drivers about when the loads, 2 hours, come back at this time, this, and this, and then once he would leave, the trailer was still in the empty line, hadn't even been turned on yet. That's a bad sign. The problem was that he had told too many people the wrong information. There was too many complaints because we base our days around the information that we're given. He no longer works there. In fact, this is quite a few years back, and he was gone rather quickly after that. You have to be diplomatic with these people, have a little bit of diplomacy, but you can't let them push you around. It's a fine line. You shouldn't ever argue with them, but you shouldn't allow yourself to get walked on either. There's a way to deal with it. I had one time threaten to whip me. He said he squared up at me. He was going to fight me right there, yelling, screaming, He says, this ain't the day and this and that. And I said, dude, I don't give a F about your day. Your day doesn't concern me. I don't care what you're doing. I'm not concerned about anything. This is your job. I said, if you got a problem, it's not my problem. Your problems are not my problems. I said, I give less than a damn about what's going on in your day right now. I said, don't you ever threaten to whip me. And he got lippy and this and that and the other thing. When they threaten to beat you, especially these rent-a-cops, you never call their supervisor. You call the corporate office. You cannot allow people to treat you that way. There's a lot of things you can let go. If he'd just been lipping off and being stupid, deal with that 100 times a year, 200 times a year. How many days out am I out? Yeah, you're going to deal with that every day of the year. But if they threaten physical violence with you and start trying to square up, nothing good will come from that situation. So I sat there and I thought about what I needed to do, because you don't want to take a man's livelihood away from him, but you can't let him get away with it either. Because if he's doing that to you, chances are he might actually hurt somebody someday. You can't be a professional in that job. So I thought about it for a little while, and I knew what security company he worked for. I made a phone call, and I got that nipped in the bud. And you know what? I don't know if I did it or he threatened somebody else, but he no longer works there either. I don't like getting people fired. I don't like people losing their jobs. But I'll tell you right now, if you're going to deal with the general public like we do, you can't get mad and threaten these people. It's just not productive. Sometimes playing the game just means just shutting up, taking your lump, and going back to your truck. There's a gal that, in fact, over here in Flowwood at U.S. Foods, I think they finally fired this gal. Worst gal ever. Nobody liked her. The lumpers hated her. Everybody hated her. Nasty, rude, disrespectful. Just for no reason. Just nasty to be nasty. I thought maybe she just hated white boys, but she hated everybody. And when the lumpers don't like you, when the day labor don't like you, that's a problem. And there'd been several complaints filed against her. But when things like this, when these people control your destiny and your future, there are proper channels. You go through your company and have your higher-ups talk to their higher-ups. I'll tell you a story about that involving the DOT. Remember, several years ago, they had a DOT officer down in southern Missouri that was causing a lot of problems. And we just thought it was ours. This is part of the reason why we don't have spare tire carriers anymore. You're required to have a chain. Well, she'd roll the trucks over the pit, take the chain off and write guys up, put them out of service, do all sorts of things like that. She was sabotaging trucks to write tickets. I don't know why, but she did. So what ended up happening was they were just really upset with what was going on in the company, and the company was like, we don't know what's going on. Well, the safety guy ends up going to a convention about safety and trucking and all that, where he runs into a bunch of other safety guys. So the other safety guys commits to talking. Well, they suddenly realize that all these guys have had the same problem with this lady across the board, and it's all for the same, 2 or 3 things. And they decide they're going to set her up, because this can't keep going on. And so they set her up. I don't remember how they set her up, but they basically set a trap, took pictures, did the whole ordeal. And sure enough, they had her fired on the spot. It was it was a long time coming, but these things happen. You can't continue to treat people this way and get away with it over the long term. Being professional is just that. It's being professional. Now, like I said, I'm not out to get people fired. But there comes a point where you do have to stand your ground, and you do have to figure out which fight to win and which fight to lose. You don't have to win every fight. Sometimes just walking away to fight another day is winning enough. Part of the problem I see with a lot of people today is they want things happened now on their schedule. They don't ever give it time to marinate. These things take care of themselves. It's amazing how fast they take care of themselves. Old girl that's pulling that crap, she won't last. I already know she won't last. Eventually, she's going to get told to stand down and quit doing that crap, or she'll be gone. I can't tell you how many security guards I've seen come and go. How many people I've got, that I've seen come and go like that. I've said it before. I was there when they got hired. I was there when they got fired. And I'll be there for the next batch. You can't force these things. Sometimes just putting the information out there and letting it build with more information is the best way to get things done. Don't seek revenge, guys. Because if you get vicious and try to seek revenge and try to get something instantaneous done on your time schedule, chances are it's going to bite you. And it'll come back to bite you. It might not bite you today. It might not bite you tomorrow. But it'll come back. And it's a weird thing about human nature. When it comes back and bites you, you know exactly why it bit you. So don't put yourself in that position. There's an old Bible verse that says, be righteous in your anger. If you're angry, be righteous. Stand up for what's right. Do what's right. Don't do these things out of a vengeful spirit. You can't. Being vengeful never gets anybody anywhere. But doing the right thing, you got to work with these people, but at the same time, you can't. Sometimes you just can't allow them to get away with it. It's a fine line. Over here in Jackson, Mississippi, at this new Quick Trip they built. The Loves is over there, but the wind's blowing pretty good, so the rain's coming in. The funny thing is, if people are trying to be nefarious and slick, they usually outsmart themselves. I had one time where I came into to pick up some cheese up there in Wisconsin, north of Fond du Lac there. Was that Fond du Lac? It was somewhere along between Milwaukee and Fond du Lac, or Green Bay, or it was up there. Anyhow, now I'm kind of trying to remember what it was. I know it was north of Green Bay. Anyhow, no, I mean Milwaukee. It was 10 years ago. Give me a break. Anyhow, the guy calls up and says, my trailer stinks. Now, I know my trailer doesn't stink. It's 20 degrees outside. Everything is frozen inside the trailer. And I know it's clean. The trailer doesn't stink at all. So I call up the company and say they're making me do this, that, and the other thing. So I literally have to go drive a half hour, get it washed out, and bring it back. They call and tell the company, well, we're not ready for him yet. So basically what they did was manufacture a reason to kick me off the lot because they weren't ready for me. They didn't. And in leaving the lot and forcing me to leave, they could say I was late. They could say all sorts of things. When these things happen, you have to cover your bases. Always call the company and make sure all your ducks in a row, because if there's any detention or anything involved with this, you might lose it because these guys forced you to do something. You know, my trailer wasn't dirty. They just wanted me off the property. Instead of being straight, they manufactured a $40 reason for me to go out and wash my trailer out. It is what it is. I went back and got loaded. But those are some of the things they do there. Your first 2 or 3 years doing this kind of stuff will drive you absolutely crazy, because you don't know how these people get away with it. They get away with it because nobody bothers, nobody cares. As long as the loads are going out, things are getting shipped, and the numbers look good, chances are these people aren't going to get bothered with. The only time they ever get in real trouble is when they start stepping out of line. There is an acceptable level of behavior. And truthfully, you complaining about it consistently is probably not going to do anything. There's a lot of guys that need to go that I still see all the time. I have to work with these people, so very straight up, very respectful, very forward. I get done, I get gone, because, well, I don't want to deal with them. I don't like them, but I still have to deal with them. And that's part of playing the game. You know, the game plan just is on both sides of the fence. I've had dispatchers I've absolutely loathed, but they made me money. But that doesn't mean I'm going to send them a Christmas card either. You know, there's been a couple I wouldn't mind. Nah, he didn't have any teeth to knock out. Anyhow, just like any shoplifter, they're going to think they're the ones that invented the game. And they're not going to realize that you as a truck driver play these games all day, every day, day in and day out. You can't get mad about that. You just laugh and just outflank them if you can. And if you can't, you just get out of there. Get your stuff done and split. It's usually the best course of action. Don't get mad, guys. This is just what they do. And I'm sitting here dealing with stuff like that all the time, and do I like it? No, I don't like it, but it is what it is. There's just certain things that are beyond our control out here. And as when you realize that, and you start learning how to play the game, and it takes a few years to really get good at it, you just kind of start figuring a few things out. It's not bad, but the first 2 or 3 years, it's going to drive you absolutely nuts. You just got to learn how to relax and roll with it, because there's no point in getting angry over something that you can't do anything about. I've talked about this to a point before, but, you know, old girl there at the pickup kind of reminded me of this, and I thought I'd share some of this stuff with you. There's a lot of things they've done to me over the years, and a lot of games they played, and truthfully, I've gotten away with about 90% of it. And sometimes I can play the game with them and kind of slip them into doing what I need done. It's amazing how that works. You know, sometimes you just have to approach them with a little deference, flatter them just a little bit, and just be smooth and straight, and sometimes you get what you want. Sometimes you walk in there acting clueless like the dumbest SOB that walked the face of the earth, and you still get what you want. So you just have to learn how to play the game accordingly and play to the customer that you're dealing with, because the secret to playing the game is to making them think that they're winning. 90% of the time they're not. And sometimes there's just no point in playing the game, and if you can bust the gal in front of her boss, go for it. Take it easy out there, guys. There's no point in getting mad. There's no point in getting upset. It is what it is. It's a game. Enjoy your time out here on the road, and you guys stay safe. It's snowing a lot up north. So, y'all take it easy, and we'll see you next video.